This is episode 42 of the Out of the Minds podcast. I'm Sean Oakley.
And I'm Sam Cooper, and we're back with our regularly scheduled random gaming.
This evening, we are bringing you the answer to life, the universe, and everything.
And the answer is don't bring Wat Tambor.
The answer is 42.
No, it's don't bring Wat Tambor.
Brackets,
it
don't bring Wat Tambor. Yes, so we return to the classics. Sam and I have just played a game, which we are going to have a look at. So should we have a quick breakdown of lists, Sam?
Yes. Shall I go first? Mine's pretty simple.
Yeah, sure.
All right. So I am reliving the past of the CAS, and I'm bringing a Wat Tambor droid swarm. With a few changes thanks to 2.5. I've got 2 precise hunters. They're the vulture droids that have the ability, when you perform an attack, if the enemy is in your bullseye, you can reroll 1 blank result. And they have tractor beams and shield upgrades and grappling struts, and they're I3. Also I3, Wat Tambor, whose ability is you can reroll, when you attack, you can reroll 1 dice per friendly calculating ship at range 1 of the target. And he has Treacherous, TV94, and Impervium Plating. And TV94 is basically the reverse Captain Sear ability. When you or a friendly ship at range 0 to 3 performs a primary attack, if the enemy is in your bullseye and you're rolling 2 dice or less, you can spend a calculate to add a hit. It's convoluted. It basically adds extra hits if they're in the bullseye as long as you're rolling 2 dice.
All the separatists, convoluted, never.
Yeah. But functionally, it's all right. I use it twice in this game. Only
yes.
Technically, though.
Yes, you do.
And joining them is 5 Trade Federation drones. The good old 10 points of filler that are honestly in most of my lists these days.
So I bought Republic again, and we had club night last Thursday, and Liam Burnett said he wanted to have some practice against Republic. But I forgot to pack my bag the night before, so I was rushing around at 4:45 in the morning packing my bag, and I was like, I don't have time to make a list, so I just whipped in the Adepticon winning list because I knew it's a good list, and I can look at it later when we get there and work out stuff. And I played Liam, and I flew it incredibly badly. So I wanted to actually see if I could make a decent crack at it, so I brought it again tonight. So anyone who doesn't know the list, it's Anakin Skywalker in the Republic Y-Wing with R4P Astromech, which allows you to lower the difficulty on any basic maneuver, 2 charges, Shattering Shot, Afterburners, Proton Torpedoes, and an Ion Cannon turret. Then Crit Meme Obi, so Auto Blasters, R7A7, Patience and Marksmanship. Ahsoka with Chopper, CLT and Compassion. Barriss with CLT, Instinctive Aim and Concussion Missiles to give her a 3 dice attack at any range 3 times. And Contrail with Besh. So yeah. So we rolled off for scenario and got Assault of the Satellite array. Which would be interesting because obviously we overlap on the I3s, but effectively I'm acing against you.
Yeah, pretty much.
But you've got weight of numbers. 3 more ships, so that will come into play on contesting those. Right, should we talk about turn 0, Sam?
Yeah.
So we rolled off.
I had a specific plan. I had a specific plan with my obstacles.
I wasn't thinking too much about the obstacles, although I genuinely know stuff you try to do. But I had a plan with the objectives. And I rolled off and got first player. So I did what I always do, which is get one as close to my bottom right corner as possible. And
then I dropped one dead center, basically as close to my board edge as possible.
Yeah, and then I put my second one on your side on the far left, and basically as far down, almost the halfway line on my side.
And I put my one deep into one of your corners,
Yeah.
into the opposite corner from where your one was. Because I just didn't want any chances of you contesting two at the same time with one ship.
Yeah. So obstacles. We've brought a couple of rocks and 4 debris. So I placed the first debris basically across, just up from your board edge, the other side of the objective marker that you'd placed close to your board edge in the centre. Because I'm vastly aware that if you stick a ship right at the top of range 1, you can fire straight to the centre marker. So basically, I wanted to stop you being able to do that with one of your droids, while another one just sits near that one. So,
yeah, that makes sense.
Yes, that allows you to just drop a droid next to that back one, fine, but at least it's stopping you doing it twice.
Yeah, because like my plan with this was like my 3 obstacle placements are going to be placed next to objectives as to get to range 1, so that I can have an option to sit on it, and it's a little awkward to fly around. Like your ships have to make a little bit of a detour on one of the sides if you're going around it, essentially.
And then interestingly, because I knew you'd aim for roughly that, I didn't know which objectives you necessarily pick, although it became pretty clear as we went on. Because I've got reasonably maneuverable ships, they've got good dials. The Deltas obviously have fine-tuned controls, and because Anakin's got shattering shots, so he actually wants obstructed shots. I basically tried to cluster them as reasonably close together as we can, so they're all very much centre to the left.
Yeah.
Onwards. So setup. I placed Ahsoka on the inside of my far right objective. Basically thinking she'll go forward, she'll claim that objective, but it leaves her choices to cut in or come in through the centre or even shoot up towards the top one by herself. And I've just realised I've skipped past all your ones, sorry.
Yeah, but it's fine. My ones all got deployed in a giant cluster, except for one in essentially my right corner, because I was aiming to just barrel down and claim as many of the objectives over a few turns as possible. And I had one guy who telegraphing that he's just going to roll forward and sit on my objective in the dead center.
Yeah, which is why
essentially play bait.
Yeah, which is
just say, if you want to come get me, get me.
Why I put Ahsoka there, because she would have the option. It would depend on what you did with your list. And then I put Obi-Wan. So Barriss went next to Ahsoka, but on my board edge and facing to my left, basically, so I could just one hard this first turn, take it a bit slow. Contrail goes on my bottom left objective, so he can one hard, be behind a rock in case you do decide to 5 straight, and we'll be claiming that objective. Obi is basically next to Ahsoka, so he's also got the option, I can 5 straight this turn, and then next turn I've got a system phase boost if I want, and I can 5 straight. It gives me different, basically, 3 different areas I can end up with a 5 straight alone. And then Anakin is almost dead center, slightly to the right. Basically, I'm going to go nice and slow, work out where your swarm is going, and then basically just try and get those obstructed torpedoes off on you.
Yeah. And so in the midst of all that, my precise hunters basically joined the block of vultures in the back row, and Wat set up so that he could just turn in behind the vulture droids, get a bit of treacherous value, and just be more likely to have vulture droids at range 1 of opponents that he can get rerolls off.
Yeah. Right. So we've already rolled off, as the YouTube guys can see, for turn 1, and you've nabbed first player.
Yep.
So just so it saves us mentioning it throughout the video, anytime you're first player, it's effectively your list than my list, because we only overlap at initiative 3. Okay. So I'll just scoot through yours.
Yeah, so basically my entire list moves, and I do a 4 straight with my center guy. He lands on a debris. He opens his struts. He calculates, and he's like, cool. He's going to sit there for the rest of his life, holding that objective most likely. Everyone else does a 5 straight and calculates, and Wat does a 3 bank and boosts in behind the swarm.
Yeah.
We're just coming to fight.
So Ahsoka does a 2 straight and flips a charge on Chopper for a red evade. Barris does a 1 hard and boosts. Contrail does his 1 hard and takes a focus. Obi does a 5 straight. And I actually decide to boost with my action here, basically because it allows me to look at where the straight's going to bring me in relation to the green guy on your debris. So after looking at it, because it means I think next turn I can 5 straight, and then regardless of which way you turn, I can barrel roll out of arc.
Yeah.
And Anakin 1 straights and focuses. And there's no shooting.
Yeah, so interestingly for me, that Obi-Wan move basically said, okay, so my next turn I'm turning in. With the idea that if Obi wants to come flying in at that green guy, we've got to set, basically he's the bait, so the trap has to spring. And so my next turn was dictated by that boost, because I was like, okay, Sean is looking to snipe green. Let's make Obi pay for it if we can.
See, interestingly, I thought you'd turn in because Obi's there.
Yeah.
Which is why if I didn't completely cluster myself, which we'll get to on the next turn, Anakin would have got an obstructed Protorp off and hopefully initiative kill something.
You'd have initiative kill something for sure.
But we'll get to that in a minute. So hang on, we'll just skip through. So we roll off, and I'm first player this turn.
So all my ones get to go. So the green guy, he turns to face Obi-Wan. He rotates 90 degrees. And the reason I did that rather than staying straight was because I was like, if Obi-Wan's coming in, I want him to barrel roll towards my swarm to get out of my arc.
Yeah.
And simple as that. And then everyone just starts turning in. A couple of the trade fairs land on rocks. One of my guys jets off down the edge of the board with the plan that he's going to turn hard in next turn and just start claiming an objective.
Yeah, so Ahsoka does a 2 bank. Clears the stress. She's facing debris, but obviously I can get out of that. And this is where I kind of screw myself. Because I do a fine-tuned barrel roll to the left. And I then take my second chopper evade. And I look at that, and I know that Barris is doing a 3 bank. And I'm not sure that clears. In hindsight, without the pressure of the game, I think that does clear.
Yeah, definitely.
So what I should have done is I should have left it there. And everything would have been happy. However, because of her ability allowing her to coordinate herself and others after executing a maneuver, or fully executing a maneuver, even while stressed, because I've taken the red chopper evade, I can then boost forward, which I do. Because luckily, obviously, they all trigger after you fully execute a maneuver, so I can pick and choose the order to do them in. And yeah, that does come back to bite me. But we'll go to your 3s.
Yeah. And my Precise Hunters just turn back into the swarm. What does a 1 bank, just following everyone. I got calculates and focuses. We're happy. And then Barris goes clunk.
Yeah, Barris goes clunk, which she takes the damage, loses a shield. But the real... So Anakin has done a 4 straight, which will bump. And the reason he did that is because he was going to use an R4P to make it white. Then afterburners if I need to. And then take a look for a Protop. I actually think that's a mistake anyway, looking at it, because I don't think that would have given me the obstructed shot.
And I think, I mean, honestly, actually, now think about it, it may have tempted me to try just shooting Anakin.
Yeah.
Because I think you might have snuck into range of one of the Precise Hunters.
I think probably a 2 bank to the left would have been the better call.
Yeah.
It would leave me enough distance behind the rock to be able to 2 hard either way depending on where I want to go on the next turn. But yeah, I wanted to jump in, try and cut, and yeah, I'm not sure that's actually the right call. Anakin wants to hang back and fire off those torps, and that's one of the mistakes I made against Liam was getting Anakin too involved. But hey, so Contrail does a 5 straight because I'm really confident it'll jump over Anakin, and it doesn't. Because I wanted to basically shoot him along my board edge and boost up to the other satellite that I basically left behind. But he does bump. It doesn't take any damage. Obi does the 5 straight. Checks for his ability, spends the force to get a focus. And then, yeah, I mean, your plan worked perfectly here because I was like, I could barrel roll away, and it means I'm likely only taking 1 shot. And I'm actually beginning to think that might have been the call, just playing it safe. Because that means on the next turn, I can swing round the back, and you either need to turn your list against Obi, which means you've got my entire list coming up behind you, or you ignore Obi and you're getting unblockable crits from behind. And I think that would have been a better shout. Whereas what I do is I barrel roll to the left to basically get the immediate gains of putting auto blasters into green. But yeah, and then Anakin bumps and takes a shield, but does not take damage. Anakin has no shot. Obi does have the auto blasters and rolls 2 crits.
2 crits.
Which I believe was a fuel leak and then a panic pilot.
Yeah, so green's dead.
So I do kill green, which is good. But I'm now range 2/3 of 5 droids.
Yeah.
Which isn't ideal. But yeah, so Barriss has no shot. Ahsoka shoots into one of your droids.
I spend a bunch of calculate to dodge it, I'm pretty sure, or take 1 damage or something.
Yeah, no,
I think it's just a bunch of calculates.
Yeah, spend a bunch of calculates. And now you start shooting back.
And here's where I think I sequenced this wrong. Is I should have started with the precise hunter who had the range 2 shot. That I was pretty sure was range 2. I should have started with the guy who has range 3.
Yeah.
Because at the time I was like, I've got range 2. He's the most likely to put a tractor in. I can boost Obi-Wan forwards. That'll put the other guy at range 2. I was like, I should have started with the range 3 guy. And then just had a bunch of range 2 shots, because if the range 3 guy was not likely to do anything else other than fire the tractor beam because he's range 3.
Yeah.
So I should have gone with that.
But the range 2 guy, I dodge it with some force.
Yeah.
Basically, this consists of
Obi-Wan takes 1 damage.
Yeah. He takes 1 damage. He takes 1 damage, and I managed to use the force to dodge everything else, but he is now force depleted. And that's pretty much it, isn't it? So yeah, end of turn 2. It's 5-3 in my favour. But it's
still the Vulture droid, and we both got a point from the objective.
Yeah, it's still close, and I'd be sat in front of your entire list. So yeah, I mean, I know what I want to do this turn, which is what I do.
Yeah. So I mean, I also know what Obi is likely to do, especially after we get to the system phase.
Yeah.
And I don't know if this is a mistake about like, I don't think I can stop Obi's 4K, and I'm looking at it now. I probably could have done. I just had to commit to not having Wat do anything.
Yeah, I was really worried that you one bank Wat to the right, because that blocks the 4K and claims that objective. I know you've got a droid on the rock to do it. But...
Yeah, I think that's what I was like. I was like, well, my droid has it, and Wat just needs to start shooting. But if I'd committed, I just know, like, I knew you were doing the K turn.
Yeah.
Originally, I didn't know which K turn they had.
Yeah, that's fair. But a 4 or a 5, I mean, honestly, a 1 bank to the right, I think might block both.
Yeah.
But
And that's definitely what I should have done. But at the time, I was like, I don't think I can actually block it.
yeah, like so system phase. Because I've got the only system phase. Obi-Wan does a boost to the left, which brings him perfectly parallel to your droid swarm, which I know are either staying on the obstacle, or two straighting, or moving forward. Because obviously, back in the old days, you just self bumped a lot of those, and calculate off the fronts and self bump the backs, and you're happy as Larry because they can share them around. But obviously, that's a lot more dangerous to do now.
Yeah.
But right,
Ironically, I'm now looking at thinking, actually, I probably could have afforded to do that with the yellow Precise Hunter because he's got the shield.
yeah, that's true actually. So this turn you are first player again, so it's all of your list before mine.
And I essentially move forward, and I'm aiming to try and catch either Anakin or Ahsoka as they come through the gap, because the way your list is set up, like all three of your ships are kind of pointing at this gap between two obstacles.
Yeah,
and I'm trying to set up so I just get as many shots into one of them as possible.
yeah. You've two straighted with a couple, put some barrel rolls in. Everyone's got calculates.
Yeah, everyone's got calculates, including the Precise Hunter who bumped into Obi-Wan. But I wasn't super sad about that because I was like, he's still pointing in the direction I wanted him to be pointing.
Yeah. So.
And I'm looking at this now, like, even if Wat had just barrel rolled where he ends up, because I won banked the other way with Wat, and I then focused, and I'm actually looking, if I'd barrel rolled, maybe that still fits.
I looked at that after you'd done the maneuver, and I'm not sure a barrel roll fits. I think Light would block that, but hey. So Ahsoka has done a two bank through that gap, but it's just left enough space to actually be able to barrel roll in between your vulture and the rock, which, although doesn't get me out of any arcs, I don't think it gets you into my arcs, and lines up bullseyes. And Chopper, who's flipped to the jam side, jams one of your calculates away. And she takes focus.
You know, the funny thing is, after you did that, I was like, yeah, all right. Because in my head, I was like, well, my Precise Hunters shoot first, so I'll just barrel roll you back to where you were. Right up until Barriss did what she's about to
do. So yeah, Barriss comes in behind Ahsoka, but I know that Anakin's banking in, and I'm not sure the one bank that he's doing there clears. So I actually boost her, which I thought at the time takes me out of, or takes you out of her arc. Swings her arc round, I should say. But I felt that was less of a price to pay than Anakin not getting his torp off again.
Yeah.
And also, I keep forgetting she's got concussion missiles. So she does have a 3 dice. I keep thinking of her as a CLT Jedi and nothing else. It's like, no, she does have that 3 dice option.
Yeah.
Like, there'll come a point later, I think, where I just fire 2 dice where I could have just spent the Force and fired the 3. But yeah, so she sat in front of your entire list with a focus, and I know she's going to take some pain. That's just something I had to accept. I'm hoping that I can either put some serious damage or maybe even initiative kill something with the higher initiatives. Obi does do the 4K behind. And I forget his pilot ability because I no, I didn't have a Force, that's why I didn't pilot it.
Yeah, you didn't have a Force because you boosted.
Contrail basically just continues the maneuver he would have done last turn and and boosts around to claim my bottom right objective. And Anakin spends the charge on R4P this turn to make the 1 bank blue, which allows me to get rid of the stress. And then I take the target lock. And we just double check because I forget that blue's sitting on a rock but isn't obstructed, whereas the only other one with obstacles involved is sat on a rock and obstructed. So I take it on blue to deny the extra dice, basically.
Yep. So pretty much guaranteed dead droid.
I then miss a trigger of patience because I keep thinking it's before you engage. You may take a deplete if someone's in your front arc to recover a Force. It's not. It's at the start of engagement. But hey, so Anakin rolls his torpedo, adds in the dice, gets 3 hits, 2 focuses. I've spent 1 force to add in a focus result with shattering shot. Obviously, you've got 2 dice. At this point, I just spend the remaining force to guarantee the death.
Because I mean, I guess you could have target locked, but like if you rolled the focuses into blanks, there's a chance they'll.
Well, that's it, isn't it? It's like, no, I
Yeah.
think I just guarantee it. So I do. I spend the force and blue dice. I actually kill off white on the overlay for anyone watching. So if you're on YouTube, the blue trade fed drone is now white, which is why he's still got 3 health. Obi luckily still has a range 1 auto blaster into the back of the yellow trade fed. But I've also got range 2 bullseye into red. And I end up doing range 2 because it's the same amount of dice, because of the auto blaster wording. But also I've got marksmanship, so it's 2 opportunities to change a hit to a crit, which obviously I want to do. But then I roll crit focus. Little sad at this point that I didn't remember the
Patience. Well, you wouldn't have had that 3rd die, so
yeah, that's true actually, because you would have taken the deplete. So yeah, 2 crits. That's about as that is as good as I can hope for.
Yeah, I blank out. Not that it matters. I take. I lose a shield and lose stabilizer.
Lose stabilizer. So Barris surprisingly has a just catches red range 1. And rolls 3 hits out of hand, which is nice.
And I get evade focus, spend my calculate, or do I? No, I think I try to reach for someone and fail, so I spend my calculate.
Yeah, you tried to reach for white, I believe.
Yeah.
Just out. So I think you spent yellows instead.
Okay. Yeah. So then I have my options. It's because it's my turn to shoot before Ahsoka. So I'm trying to think because I go for Barris this round. Because A, I can just put everyone into her, and B, if I tractor her, I can send her towards the debris. And if I do enough damage, suddenly that debris gets real scary.
Yeah, see, I don't think what you did is the wrong call at all. I think Ahsoka's the right target there.
Barris is the right target.
Yeah, sorry, Barris is the right target.
And I guess also Barris has taken damage from the bump, so she is more likely to die.
Exactly.
So I put a tractor into her, and then everyone else just shoots.
Yeah, you put a tractor into her, she gets tractored. You move her right up, and so I've got 3 health left, and I'm taking a range 1, probably a range 2, and probably a range 3 shot. And so I've got a focus, and I think I've got a focus, and I'm umming here whether to rotate, and I don't, because I'm thinking if I take another damage, and actually I probably should have. In hindsight, now talking back about it, the realistic is I probably take at least 2 damage from those shots. But my mind,
because you're tractored. Actually, yeah,
exactly. That's the thing. And I always forget about the tractor removing dice. As you reminded me a million times on the same shot. But I was like, because my thought here was, if I've got 2 health left, to be honest, even if I've got 1 health left, a 5k over the rock or 4k over the rock, the debris, sorry, because yes, I get a stress. I'm getting a stress anyway from the K-turn, and it's only a 50-50 that I die or I take 1 damage, and then I'm sat contesting an objective that realistically you probably won't be near next turn.
Yeah.
However, in hindsight, I probably should have expected to die there, being down a die. What I should have done was rotated, because a 90 degree to the left will put red into. Oh no, I was about to say bullseye, but I haven't got the force, so I can't do a trick anyway. But on the odd chance that I do survive, yeah, I think probably playing it safe would have been the better call. But you Lobboth into Barris, and Barris does die.
Yeah.
But it does take all 3 of your I3 shots to do it.
Yes, it does.
So now it's Ahsoka's turn, and I have an interesting choice. I've got Red Precise Hunter, who's on 1 hull, but a shot at range 1 in the bullseye. But I also have Pink at range 1 in the bullseye, who is I1. It hasn't shot. It's got 3 health. Obviously, I'll have effectively 4 dice. And there's no mods. All the calculates have been stripped. So I do and ah about which one, because realistically, the Precise Hunt is pretty much a guaranteed death. But I actually decided to go into Pink because Pink's got Ahsoka in arc. And this might be riding my luck a little bit. If it's riding my luck a lot, because I roll hit focus, add the focus, spend my focus token for 4 hits, and then you roll evade focus.
And so I die.
I mean, I think evade focus is probably average.
Yeah, evade focus is average.
I think I was maybe a little lucky to get 4 lots of paint.
And all the while, I'm just thinking, like, I wish this was DBS 30TC with Kraken.
Yeah, because then you've
like,
got this
or anyone with Kraken. I just really want, like, I took TV94 because I was like, it's sort of like Captain Sear. And Wat Tambor is like a decent piece on his own, but like I really missed having a bunch of calculates.
Yeah, and the droids need them, don't they?
Yeah.
So yeah, I do manage.
I've got an I1 shot.
I do, yeah. I believe you.
I think I just plink into Anakin, and I don't think it does anything.
I believe you plink into Anakin, and it doesn't do anything. So scenarios that round. I believe I pick up 2 and you pick up 2.
Yeah.
Which currently puts me 12-8 in the lead.
Yeah, but I think we've got a score mistake because you've got half points in the Precise Hunter.
Yes, yeah. So I forgot to turn half points off on the overlay. So it is in fact 11-8. Which is actually, it's reasonably close. It's still anyone's game. The problem is you're bleeding droids.
Yeah, I'm running out of droids rapidly.
I'm reasonably confident I can initiative kill Red this turn.
Yeah.
So yeah, we roll off, and actually this time I'm not hugely worried about who's first player or not, but it ends up being you. I don't think.
Yeah, I really wanted it to be you because I wanted Ahsoka to move first.
Yeah,
because I didn't see. So I did a 2 hard with my yellow Precise Hunter, it goes straight into Ahsoka. I'm not super unhappy with that. But I didn't really want to have to do a stressed calculate. But I was like, I don't see another move that I can that gets this guy into the fight.
Yeah.
And with a calculator, so I'll just hope that I lose. And if I don't, I hope I lose priority. And if I do have priority, then I'll just accept the stress calculate.
Yeah.
Because I'm still pointing in the direction of Anakin at the very least.
So. Yeah. Well...
and my Vulture droid, my Trade Federation drones, they stay on their rocks and they calculate.
Yeah. So you've moved Red.
And Red did a 3 straight up towards the middle, then I barrel rolled and calculated in front of Anakin because I figured you would 1 bank.
Yeah, and you figured right.
And if you did move quickly, then you're not pointing a proton torpedo my way, so yeah. I'll take it.
And then Wat's banked in to follow. So Ahsoka Styles in a 5k. I think a 5k or a 4k.
Yeah, I think it was a 5k, yeah.
Because I'm pretty confident that... I'm not sure exactly where you're going, but I'm pretty confident you're not going up through that gap.
Yeah.
And I'm not likely to have a lot of arcs facing me that way. And honestly, I figured somebody should roughly be in line with where I am, so I'm likely to line up a CLT on that shot. Obi does a 2 straight because it's literally the slowest move he has that's a blue, and it bumps into what? And I am know about what to do with Contrail here, because I considered just one harding round my obstacle, my objective, and keeping that. He's a 2-pointer. He can sit there if needs be and just pick up the points. But I actually 3 hard into the fight, because at this point, I want to initiative kill as much as possible. And I also figured that a 3 hard with a boost might get me into range 1 of the centre objective. And obviously they can boost into a lock. So I do the hard in. I lock. Obi bumps. I have an hour about whether to take the red focus or not, and I do in the end. And Anakin bumps and takes the red focus. And let's be fair, this is the round that kind of seals the game.
Yeah, definitely.
So Anakin has a range 1 shot into yellow, unobstructed, and decides to roll hit crit out of hand.
I get blank focus. I spend a calculate from the white trade fed to convert it. So just hit crit.
Hit crit, and you get damaged engine.
Contrail puts 2 hits into me and I blank out.
Yeah, exactly. Rolled hit focus and just use Besh with the lock to just change that straight to a hit. And yeah, that's yellow gone, which I was a bit surprised about. I wasn't expecting yellow to go from those 2 shots, certainly. I thought I'd have to at least pump Obi-Wan into him as well.
Yeah, but as it is, you don't.
Luckily, Obi has a range 2 into the back of red on 1 health, so I can auto blast her. So with the focus and with the R7A7, I basically need 1 bit of paint to guarantee death. And I think I rolled a crit out of hand anyway.
Yeah, you rolled hit crit, and I die.
So
it's Wat Tambor and 2 Trade Federation drones versus basically your entire list.
But I mean, let's be honest. That last shot, just needing 1 bit of paint.
Oh yeah, no. Obi-Wan killing the red. That was just gonna happen. Yeah. I was a little bit miffed that yellow died.
Yeah,
like I thought you'd have to make Obi-Wan choose.
Well, see, I thought yellow would might die, but I thought it would probably take the CLT shot from Ahsoka as well.
Yeah,
to do it.
Yeah, I thought you'd have to choose between Obi-Wan killing red or finishing off yellow.
Yeah,
and then if it comes down to I3, at least my precise hunter gets to shoot. That was my plan that round. Because then I was gonna pump a tractor beam into Anakin, and then unload with everyone else into Anakin.
That's fair. But yeah, those 2 blat. What goes into
what whiffs?
What whiffs? The trade feds go into Anakin and start plinking some shields off. And
Wat loses both his shields and impervium platings away a crit from Ahsoka.
Yeah, that was quite a nice range 1. Not overly modded. I think I had a force that I used, and that puts me 19-9. At the end of this turn, and let's be honest, it ends up a lot closer than that.
Yeah, it ends up a lot closer than anyone would think.
But all I've got
because I always don't even play this next round because I was like, well, there's nothing I can do to stop Contrail from 5 straighting onto that debris, taking the damage, and winning you the game.
Yeah, all I've got to do is win 1 contest. I don't actually do that with Contrail. I end up sending Obi-Wan up there because I think it's the better shout. But funnily enough, right, so this turn, I put in a 2 bank with Ahsoka because I want to line up the bullseye onto the white droid. And I really want to go second, so Wat's out of the way. And this is the turn that I don't get it.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it's a little late, but I take the red focus because it doesn't really matter. What does
a 3 sloop, because why not?
Bumps.
Causes Contrail to bump.
Contrail bumps. Obi-Wan does a 3 bank over Ahsoka. Is range 1 of the objectives. It just takes an evade.
So you've already won, unless I can score 11 points this round.
And Anakin flips his R4P, second, so he can do a now white 3 hard as he's straight, which sticks a I'll think of it in a minute. Oh, I'm an idiot. So the reason I did that is I wasn't sure where you were going. But I wanted to swing out here because I forgot that it was red, so I thought it would make it blue and get rid of the stress. And I've realised that I've missed a trigger here. So I take 2.
Obi-Wan.
No. Well, I missed the Obi-Wan trigger, but that's not the big issue. I take 3 shots, including a range 1 from the droid just above me.
You should have afterburners.
I should have afterburners. Because that would have got me out of that one. Might have even dodged me out of Watt's range.
Yeah.
Though afterburners to the left, maybe. Yes, it puts me closer to Brown, but let's be honest, Brown doesn't do 5 hull damage.
No.
Yeah. So there's a misplay. This is what happens when you net list and haven't built it yourself.
Yeah, but to be fair, this is what happens when we've both decided you've already won the game and we're kind of playing for fun.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, if this were a tournament, I think you probably don't forget that.
You don't know me.
Probably.
So I ion cannon turret the droid because it's the only...
I take a damage and an ion.
Take a damage and an ion. And I don't think I actually
I dodge contrails. I think I take 1 more damage from contrails shot, and then I put everyone into Anakin.
No, contrail went into the back of Watt, I believe, and plinked 1 off, I think. So you're on 2.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Was it Ahsoka who dealt 1 damage then?
Yeah, must have been.
Must have been, yeah.
Yeah,
and I put everyone into Anakin, and I kill Anakin.
You kill Anakin. I was just sat there, actually, funny enough, going, oh, it's fine, they're like, 2 dice, 3 dice unmodded, and 1 3 dice with a calculate. You're not going to take 5 damage off. 2 damage on the first attack, 2 damage on the second attack. I'm like, oh, hang on a second here. And then 2
I was like, to be fair to the Watt shot, it wasn't completely unmodded because I did have the reroll.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, and then 2 damage on the second attack, and I say, dang. So yeah, I nabbed the last point I need from objectives to go to 20. You nabbed 2 from objectives. So it ends 2017, which is a damn close.
Damn sight closer than it looked like it was going to be. But again, that was because I managed to kill off your expensive ship. And if you do remember to afterburners, it's like 2013.
Yeah. Like, I hadn't even clocked that. 2011, actually, I think.
Yeah, 2011, right, because I was on 9.
But I hadn't even clocked that. Like, it literally wasn't until we watched it back just then I was like, I should have afterburners. Dang. But there we go. That's why we review these games, so we can pick up on stuff. I have to admit, actually, I can see why it did well at Adepticon, and I quite like it. I tried to play it a bit differently than I did at Club Night and keep Anakin back a little more. And alright, I didn't fully achieve that, but I certainly kept it back more than I did then. And I can see how it's really good on the other 2 objectives, the salvage mission and scramble the transmissions, because you've effectively got 4 really fast ships.
Yeah,
that can, the V-wing's got a good enough dial to nip where it wants to, and contrails a 2-pointer. The Deltas have got a good dial and then have, if needs be, a double reposition, and the Etta's got the system phase to get places. And then Anakin, if you're playing that sort of game, I think you do just keep sort of circling and plinking with the ion turret and turning in and taking those long range torpedo shots. So yeah, I'll have to play it a few more times and maybe tweak a few things on the upgrades to my flavouring, but
yeah,
it's fun.
I mean, my tweak is pretty simple. Like, I go back to the list I tried at Club Night, which was just replace Wat Tambor with DBS 30GT, the coordinating bomber, and I can give him Kraken and like a hull upgrade.
I mean, I just feel that is a straight upgrade. You get Kraken and you get to do a start of engagement coordinate effect, and it's not just, it's a range 3 coordinate as well, isn't it? So
no, ranged it is a coordinate action.
Okay. Sorry, I thought it was one of those. You pick a thing, range 3 in.
No, it is you perform a coordinate action. You can only coordinate ships that have network calculations.
Fair enough. So don't put independent calculations on everyone.
Yeah, don't put independent calculations, and only run bombers, tri-fighters, and vulture droids.
I hear the fearsome predators are good value for money these days, Sam.
Yeah. I did actually have a tri-fighter on Thursday. I had the guy who gets free target lock start of engagement.
Yeah, I mean,
he's really cool.
I was going to say, of all of them, he's probably the most viable at the moment.
Yeah, just because he has 12 load up points and he just gets free target locks. Like, what's more to like? What more do you want?
Well, that's it. Right, guys. Sorry. Right, guys. Well, thank you for listening, as always, or watching, if you're watching on YouTube. We will be back next week with another game. I think that's pretty much it for this week, Sam, unless you've got anything you'd like to add.
No, I don't really have anything to add at this point.
Right.
We're doing all right.
Yeah. So it was a fun game. And yeah, I definitely do like Republic in 2.5. They've definitely jumped up to the, arguably the top of the pecking order. I guess it's a toss-up between them and Rebels at the moment, but
yeah,
they're certainly faring much better than they were in 2.0, so yeah, good times.
Good times indeed.
I do need to break out my Maul gauntlet again. I've tweaked that list, and maybe I'll fly that next week. And on that scummy note, we'll just say goodbye. So
yeah, ta-ta.
Goodbye.